Okay, so we're gonna do a walkthrough of the unclaimed property and property tax fairness credit for people that are interested. So I'm gonna go to unclaimed property first, and we'll do Maine, and then we'll look at a few other things.
So we've had seasonal property in Maine for about 16 years. We've been full-time for 6 years. Massachusetts before that.
Perfect. We'll look at both of those things. And this is a tool for anybody that wants to do it. So if we want to look up your guy's name, what's your last name?
Knox, like Fort Knox.
Yeah. So we'll start just doing last name and we'll input Phippsburg. So this is on the Maine unclaimed property side, which is part of the Maine Treasury. And any type of dividends, uncashed checks from insurance payments or old bills that then go to a bank account that either doesn't exist or people move or a check doesn't get cashed, it all ends up going to the Treasury and it ends up in Maine unclaimed property.
Yeah, and I was employed in Maine for multiple years back in the 80s. So
Gotcha. And nobody with the last name Knox is in there.
Okay.
So that's not a bad thing for you because you're not missing money.
Yeah. Okay.
But let's try a much more common last name. Let's do Brown. And let's try just Phippsburg for the heck of it. So if we do the last name Brown, we'll get 4 groups. We'll get a Harold, we'll get a Zoe, a Thomas, and a Nancy. And you have over $25, over 25, under 25, and under 25. You would go to claim for any one of these. Let's find one that's a little bit more innocuous, maybe. A little too local. Let's just try Smith. And this is a perfect one because there's no first name associated with it. Probably it's an old one, but if you would go to here, you go to claim. You've added it to your basket, if you will. So you go to continue to file, and then underneath all this, if you're a surviving heir or personal representative, then you can also file as that. But let's just pretend that it was something somebody was going to file for themselves. You would go down to here and click self. And then you would file the claim. Claimant type would be individual. And you would put in your information. Smith, let's say that it's Richard. Birth date, email confirmation, social security number or tax ID, because sometimes it's under a business name. And they have a how did you hear about this? So there's that, and then you put it in, and I'm not going to go to the next step, but occasionally there's a form that needs to be notarized. I think if you're doing it just for yourself and the social security number matches, then it goes automatically. You might have to check a box that says, yep, that's me, and then they'll send the check. I think they mail the check. You might be able to get it direct deposited.
Okay.
I don't know about that. So then other states, there's a website called missingmoney.com. Missingmoney.com. Let's see how many states this covers because I think it changes all the time. So up in the top right corner, there's a spot that says states. And let's see, I don't know if maybe they cover every state now, but you said Massachusetts.
Yes.
And this covers Massachusetts. So we'll do Knox and see if anything comes up from Massachusetts. And you get a whole bunch of them.
Yeah. So we can even see our kids if they're on there. So
what's a name I should search?
Well, E would either under Elizabeth or Eben, EBEN would be the E.
Elizabeth, it's me.
And none of the towns are right so far.
There is another Elizabeth Knox in Livingston.
Amesbury?
No, so either Westwood, Wellesley, or Upton, UPTON.
We're not the Elizabeths.
I did this with, so that's what it looks like anyway on that.
Okay,
Remind me of your first name again?
Robert.
Try Robert. So you can do this on the missingmoney.com and I'll back out to show people.
Okay. So far. Upton, nope, that's a different one.
Gotcha.
These.
Right time, wrong Knox.
Well, there's plenty of Robert Knoxes, that's for sure. None in Maine, but
Wayland.
then we're out of Roberts again.
No.
So that's an option, but let's go back to the main website. So let's do, my last name is Gudkowski. Know that there's a few from different states on there. You search it, it covers all the states that they cover. And we've got some from Massachusetts, Florida, Vermont, Texas, New Hampshire. And so this is a directory, and some of them more Connecticut, Massachusetts. If you have a state, let's say Connecticut, you can just search Connecticut unclaimed property. And they have a very similar website. So this is sometimes useful as a directory, but let's try like this, for example. So Saul Gudkowski, that one's in New York. We'll go to view unclaimed, review. And we'll just say, for example, that I am an other heir. We'll file that. Same situation. I think it would probably email it or send it to New York, but it might be a better option to go directly to that state's unclaimed property list rather than go through missing money. I think missing money is legitimate, but I think it's through the association of state treasurers or something along those lines.
And if someone's deceased, you probably need a death certificate or.
Yeah, it becomes and if it's a difficult heir situation where it's not just a child of the person or
Direct.
yeah, if it's like a nephew and there's no other person, then all of a sudden you need to do a little bit more homework and that becomes a probate thing, but it is possible. So same thing, you can go to any state that has it, you can go and they all pretty much have the same layout as you can see. So that's a good option, and I try and remind people to do that. I think February might be Unclaimed Property Awareness Month when they try and do it, but probably it's a good idea for people to check twice a year, sometime in the spring and the fall, because another big reason that these come about is from tax refunds that somebody gets a printed check, they lose the printed check, it's lost in the mail, they move, whatever. And then tons of these are unpaid tax refunds that just sit in the state treasury that were due to people. So that's unclaimed property. Any questions on that one?
It seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah, and there's, I wish that they had a good, so this, we're back on the main one. So they also have a search nationally and search federal databases, so there's a bunch of, I'm wondering what the federal ones look like. I haven't spent much time on that.
That's did it down in Mass. We got a little back a few years ago.
Gotcha. But yeah, I wish they had a more recognizable list. There's a how to claim section, submit, complete. So you probably need to have a digital social security card or main driver's license, just have a PDF, or they might have an app situation where you've got to click and take photos.
Yeah.
And then they have a tracking. But yeah, people don't understand usually why they would be getting this, and sometimes it becomes obvious because it's like your cable bill. You canceled your cable and then they give you the refund, but then it didn't go anywhere and or didn't get cashed, and that's what it was. And sometimes it's more complex things, or sometimes the website doesn't tell you enough detail to tell what it is. So that's that. So now let's go ahead and look at property tax fairness credit and how to do that if you haven't had it. So this is easiest for seniors, and what we're going to do is look up Maine tax portal. And on the Maine tax portal, if you go to the primary website, there's a lot of they've expanded this in the last 5 years, basically starting during COVID, and you can do sales tax, you can do use tax, you can do real estate tax withholding, just about everything you're gonna have the ability to process. But we're under individuals today. So we're gonna go to file an individual return. And this is a good example for somebody that hasn't filed their taxes, mostly because they're seniors and they don't think that they're eligible for a refund, or they don't know. So we'll click on 2024.
So is that a 65 and up senior?
That's when the property tax fairness amount doubles, the credit doubles. It's at caps at 1,000 for people under 65, and then once you turn 65, it goes up to 2,000. And then there's a formula to it, which is in the form, but this will do it automatically. So we go through the security check, and I'll walk right through this, and we'll do a sample test person. We'll just create a person and not submit it.
Okay.
So we're not a paid preparer. We hit no. Third party designee. This section we're going to hit no. Filing status. Well, let's assume it's a person living by themselves, so they'll be single. Residency status. They'll be a resident. Total number of exemptions is kind of a question mark, but depending on who it is, we'll put 0. And under this section, did you file a 2024 federal income tax return? So we're going to check no. And that automatically fills, did you itemize? That says no because you didn't file. And are you amending a previous return? That's going to be no. The only one that you need to answer then is, are you filing exclusively to claim the property tax fairness credit and or sales tax fairness credit, which is one worksheet when you do the paper form? So we're going to say yes. We'll go to the next page. And yes, this person does have a social security number, and let's just make one up. Let's do 012559876. 012559876. And we'll say that this is Franklin Michaels. And we'll put their phone number in 207-555-5555. You don't need to do an email address. For date of birth, let's just do, today's the 18th, we'll do that. We need to have a better birth year. That's not gonna work.
Yeah,
That's
really young.
That's not a taxpayer, but we want to have somebody over 65, so we'll go back and do,
We're gonna go 60 or
let's do
earlier.
58. December 18th, 1958. Was this taxpayer considered blind? This person isn't. They're a sample person. Would you like to donate $3? We'll say no. They're still alive. This is an option area for healthcare questions. If you don't want to send your information to Maine Care, you don't have to. You don't have to fill in that part. Mailing address, we'll just say that it's at our town hall today. We're just using this as an example. And county, Saginaw. And then this area right here is this address needs to be verified. You just click that and it says, okay, it's been verified. That makes sense. And it gives you your last 4 of your zip code.
Mhm.
So this is for your income sources. And I don't believe that you need to have a digital copy of this, but it's good to have it in front of you. So you get the, is it 1099-R? It's social security benefits.
We do get that.
Whatever one they, or 1099-SA maybe. I'm trying to remember what the form is that.
And I'm actually myself,
Social Security,
pension. I do have social security,
We don't
but
have social security benefits though.
not yet.
Gotcha.
Uh,
We'll pretend that somebody else
Mr.
is
Michaels.
getting 18,000. We'll
Okay.
say whatever there, or I don't know what the minimum is. Let's say it's 23,000. Interest and dividends, we'll say 0. Pensions, annuities, we'll say 0, and they don't work. 0, 0, 0. So total income is 23,000. And are you or your spouse rated 100% disabled? We'll say no. And then we'll go to this and it says, did you pay property tax or rent on your primary residence? And we'll walk through both of them. So yes. And let's just say that this is for property details. Same, mailing is the same, so property tax paid, we'll say that it was 2,700. We'll click through that. You don't need to add a landlord because you own the place. Get that out of here. So this is property tax paid. You go to the next page. And this is the calculator. So it, based on your income and what you paid in property tax, this is estimating a $1,780 refund for the property tax fairness credit. And also a $150 refund for the sales tax fairness credit for a total refund of $1,930. And it's based on the property tax as a portion of your income. And there's another factoring, I think, in the formula, but this one does it automatically. So then what you do here is you check off that you're providing proof and you can get a copy of what you've paid from the town hall during whatever year. Let's check off that it is proof of property tax paid on residence. We'll choose a file. I'm just going to put in a sample placeholder. I don't know if it'll hold a Excel file, but we'll just put it in. So that's in there. And then you would just go to the next. You just put in your direct deposit info and then you go in to submit. So that's how easy that one is. So we'll go back and we'll do a sample for a renter.
And what if you have filed taxes?
We'll go over that in a minute. That's where it gets a little bit more complicated. See, it asks us if we rented here. Yes, we rented this year. Let's say we rented at this address. And go back into this area. So we'll pretend to start this part over. We'll do it all the same. Is this your physical address? Yes. And then under rent, it's probably gonna ask us a few more questions. Let's say that our rent is 24,000 this year. And it'll ask, does the rent previously stated include heat, utilities, furniture, or similar items? And we'll say, in this situation, no. And then that skips down to this, but if you do say yes, it'll ask, if rent includes utilities, do you know the amount paid for heat, utilities, furniture, or similar items? And you could say yes, and you have to put your landlord's name in there. So we'll say it's Richard Brown and landlord phone. That in there, and it should ask you another question about how much percentages, or it might already have it figured in for, I think it might just deduct 15%. That might be the number. So utilities paid, there's a little question mark here, into the amount you paid toward utilities. Say that that's accurate, 3,600, and that bumps you up to a full property tax fairness credit of 2,000 and a sales tax fairness credit of 150 for a total refund of 2,150. But we'll go back and we'll edit this and we'll say, actually, the rent doesn't include utilities, so you pay for all of that. That's another expense and you still get the full benefit based on what you're paying. In this situation, the rent is more than the income, so you're definitely going to get the full credit. But yeah, it can differ when it becomes pretty close. So your other question was, is what if somebody's already filed their taxes? And that's where it becomes a little bit more difficult. So let's cancel and let's start completely over. Check out there were a robot, because then it becomes an amended return. And that can be done online, but it's a little bit more cumbersome because you need to have a digital copy of every one of your tax documents, which can be done. You just have to have a scanner or be available to a scanner. So we'll go through again. We'll do single resident. We'll do zero exemptions. We did file an amended return in 2024 on this one. Did we itemize? We're going to say no. And you can't now file exclusively because you've already filed. And so it asks you on the bottom, are you amending a previous return? And you would hit yes. We'll go through again, we'll do 02. Hopefully that's not someone's actual social, but we'll just pretend we don't know, because we don't. Say that it's Brown. I'll do it again. Go through again. I probably won't be able to go this far, but let's try it anyway. Go back to 1958 again. (1956) until December the 20th. This person wasn't blind, they're still alive, they don't want to donate $3, they don't want to put in for their health information. We'll put in 1042 Main Road as a placeholder. We'll do Sagahawk. Need to click down here, address needs to be verified. Takes over that, and we'll say your federal adjusted gross income, which is line 11 on your federal form 1040, and we'll say that that's 24,987.
I don't see you on a great holiday.
See if we can hit next. It's going to ask for any W-2 that you might have had. We'll assume that there was none. Do no 1099-R. We'll do no withholding. I'm claiming the earned income, childcare credit, student loan repayment, pension income deduction. We'll say no to all of those. Several other things somebody might have. Another page of income subtraction modifications for different programs. And then you get to your income tax calculation, your main adjusted gross, your deduction, which could be anything. I don't know what the standard deduction is this year, but you have to enter what you had for a deduction on your taxes you filed. Non-refundable credits, that's not us today either. So right now it wants $724 of income taxes. Refundable credits, we're looking for property tax fairness. Keep going. And then there's a separate section here for property tax fairness credit. Do you want to file for? So this would be your first time if you're amending it and you didn't do it before. Federal total income, and that's line 9, and we'll say that this one is 27,000. We'll say that there's no railroad or social security benefits that weren't included. Total income. Did you pay property taxes? Yes. And it goes through the same situation, same mailing address. Property taxes paid, we'll say we're 3,000. Go to add, another way, hit next, and that figures you're going to get a property tax fairness credit refund of 1920 and a sales tax fairness credit of 100. So they go hand in hand. Then it'll ask you a little bit more, any income tax withheld, a few other programs, and then you walk through charitable contributions or art passes. Another page, there's never enough pages, and then you have to do your attachments. So they're going to ask for any of this, your 1040 federal, any W-2s, any 1099s. I'm not sure if they'll ask you for your social security form or not, but you might as well just include it as an additional attachment. And then you're going to need this proof of property tax paid on primary residence, which the town hall or any municipal government can provide for you. But yeah, we didn't put in. This is based on the overpayment that you overpaid $1,821, and then because this is based on the previous refund that this person owed $700, and then the amount to be refunded would be $1,800. And then it goes back and asks for your direct deposit info. So that's how it all works on the tax portal. That was fast. any questions?
Can we go back to the first sentence?
But it comes down to amending can be cumbersome, but it's a lot easier once you have a PDF of all of your docs. That's the biggest thing. If you're only if you're only filing for the property tax fairness credit, you haven't filed otherwise, becomes very easy. The only thing you've got to include, you want to have your social security tax forms, but you also have to include the PDF of your property tax paid. And that's how that works. Those are the two biggest things I think right now that people are ignoring, that either they have money available to them or they could be filing just exclusively for their taxes, and the legislature's done well and the Maine revenue have done well to add that option to solely file for that, because a lot of people don't want to do it.
And that's separate from, like, if you're filing your taxes, like with tax cut or somebody like that, they won't have this information.
Anybody, any professional tax preparer should
have all that.
know this. If they don't know this, I wouldn't recommend.
Yeah.
We just do it ourselves online,
Yep,
our taxes, so we don't
So
go
it
there.
should be through that.
and you can actually, even if you want to file your whole thing, in most services at this point, if you're filing your federal returns, it's just as easy to file your state, but the state has made it easy to file your complete state income taxes online through the tax portal.
Okay.
And that just made me think of one other thing.
So you have social security taken on, right? Mine's pension, not social security.
I have no idea.
Don't you get social security?
No,
Oh, not yet.
I'm not collecting.
Yeah, that's right, not yet. So we're not.
Open question marks for the future
Yeah.
type of things.
Yeah.
Yep. Let me keep thinking, because I think that there's another program. Let me
So
pause.
we're 63 and 65.
Gotcha. I'm gonna pause this recording and then I'll hopefully remember what I was thinking of. And this is another service that's out there. There's a group called CASH Maine, which operates through the community action partnerships. It's the CAP agencies. I can't remember what P stands for. Wait for this page to load, if it will. Close some tabs here. I think we might have broke this on the TV, so let's just try and fix that for a second. And restart that. Oh, internet just jogged there for a second. I disconnected from the Wi-Fi and now we're. Hopefully that just continued on the same video, but share the screen. Okay, so where we left off, we're going to CASH Maine, which is through CAP agencies. And CASH Maine has a free tax prep area. Let me put that on the TV so you can see the technical difficulties, but we're making it. This video will be useful to somebody. 1 second.
Okay, so that's the front.
Let's pause this again. All right, third time's the charm. So you're on the cashmaine.org website. And under this tab, there's a section that is free tax prep. And they have a qualification criteria right on the front page. Your household's combined income for the year is $69,000 or less. You didn't have any unusual types of income or expenses such as rental, farm income, or self-employment with more than $35,000 in expenses. That's important. No one in the household lived or worked outside of Maine in 2025. You or your spouse were not active military 2025, and no one in your household is a foreign student, teacher, or trainee in the US on an F, J, M, or Q visa. So you can scroll down, they have in-person appointments, fully remote online tax assistance, but let's pretend that you want to go in, you can do find a site now. And we are under Mid-Coast Maine Cash, so we'll click on that link. And to learn more, they've got two folks as contact, Doreen Fournier, Director of Community Impact, and Steve Cohen, Tax Site Coordinator. This is organized through the United Way of Mid-Coast Maine. So currently at the Wing Farm Parkway building, I don't know if you guys have been over there. They've got I think a couple different agencies that are in one building that's over kind of near the New Morse High School. But this is when they have a whole calendar of when they're doing appointments. A lot of them are weekends. So that's in Bath. They've got some appointments at the Bodenham Fire Station. I'd like to see if we could do some in Phippsburg, some in the Lincoln County Planning Commission, some at the Booth Bay Town Office, and some at the Harpswell Town Office. So they have let's go on and try and look at the net scheduler on the United Way one. So if you click United Way of Bath, Maine on this left side of the screen. And let's do January 31st. And you can click on time, we'll say 10:30. Fill in your name, your returning cash plan. Let's do it again just for the heck of it. I don't know if there's gonna be a second, so maybe we won't. Click all the way through this. Are you filing 2+ years? So that's an option for people that wanna get back to current. And it looks like you can just hit continue. I don't think that there's any other thing after that. They have an option to send confirmation email, but this is a free service and pretty good for folks that have a household income of less than 25,000. But they have it all over the state. So KV Cap and Waterville and Augusta have appointments, and that's an overall great service. So I'm probably going to reach out and see if we can do a weekend or two at the library, maybe. Something to look at. But part of it is they need to find volunteers to do some of the tax prep, and they do train people, and they'll set you right up and set the computers right up with their software to do it all. So it's an excellent service. Well, that's out there. And that's that tutorial for today. Hope that was helpful.
Yeah, I'm good to go through it.
Stop this recording.